Hello everyone, welcome back to the part 5 of the series. In this video we'll see what are lists in Python. We'll also see indexing and slicing of lists, updating a list, concatenation of a list, repetition of a list, and at the last we'll also see aliasing and cloning of a list. We'll see what are these, we'll have an example for all of this. So with this let's start doing it. We'll open our browser and log on to Google Colab and start doing it. I'm here on my Google Colab notebook. We'll start list. So what are lists? Lists are used for storing different types of data, unlike arrays. For an example, we create a list name student and then lists are declared using a box or a square brackets. So let me write the USN name, USN1, and name be hummingbird, and let the marks be 67, 78, 89, and 9.0. So as you can see very clearly, this list contains integer, a string, and followed by also and float. So let me print this list. Print student. I get the complete list, that is 1 USN hummingbird and followed by marks. So this is a list which can have any type of data. Now we'll see, unlike strings, even lists can also be sliced and indexed. So let us see. Now for an example, I just want to print the very first element. So as you can see here, this is the very first element in the list. So this is indexed 0 and this will be indexed as 1, 67 is indexed 2, 78 as 3, 89 as 4, and 9.0 as 5. And if I do it in the inverse scale, inverse indexing, then this is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and -6. So let us access to the hummingbird, which is print, and the list is student, and the value, the index I want is hummingbird, so that it belongs to index 1, so index of 1. Yes, we got hummingbird. We'll see how we can access it in a negative index. So if I want to access through the negative index, I write print, call the list name, and write the indexing value. So if I want -1, so I should get 9.0, 9.0. Yes. So this is how you can index the list. You can also print or slice the index, giving it a range. For an example, print, calling this list name student, and then printing from starting from 1 to range of 3. So it will print all the elements from the index value 1 to 3. So that is hummingbird and 67. And if I want to print all the elements, I either call it as print and then write the list name, that is student. I get all the elements of the list. Or I can do is call the list name, and then inside the box, inside the square bracket, I write double colon. Now we'll see some operations on list. For an example, how we can append a list. So let us append extra marks on the list student. So what I can do is call up the student list student dot append marks 77, and then if I print the student list now, I get 77 added to my list. As you can see, the last value what I have is 77. You can also delete a value from the list. For that, we can use delete, del for delete, and the list name student followed by which index you want to delete. For example, I want to delete the very first index. value, then print the list student. So that was one was hummingbird, so that got deleted. I can also use remove to remove it. For that, student dot remove, and then pass the value which I want to delete. That is again a first one. And then print student. Now let's see how if we can reverse a list. Yes, we can reverse a list. And to do that, I want to use this. Call up the student list first, and then write reverse function reverse. And let's see. Yes, now we can see the complete list is reversed. So this is how we can reverse the list too. We can even do concatenation of two lists. For an example, let me add up one more student name, make a list, one more student list, student 2 equals to 2, and assign some marks 67, 45, and then print student plus student 2. So this is how you can even concatenate two lists. If you want to repeat the list two times, what you can do is print student, the list you want to multiply it with the number of times you want to repeat two times, and then you can repeat the same list two times. You can even store this in a new list. For example, I create final equals to student into 2, and then print a final. So my new list which final contains the value 77, 90, the two times of what is there in the student. I can even find if the value exists inside the list. For an example, if I want to find out now the final list, the name final list has 77, 9.0, 89, 78, and if I want to find whether 78 exists inside the list, I can do that by assigning a variable example a equals to 45, and then write print a in student. If it is s, then it will give you value true. So 45 value doesn't exist inside this list, so it gives us false. So let us give the value a equals to 89, and then write print a in student. So it should return me true. Now we'll see aliasing and cloning of list. So what is aliasing? Aliasing is giving a new name for the existing list. For an example, I give a new name for the student, that is new name for student. Whenever you do aliasing, no separate memory will be allocated. For example, here for new name list, there is no separate memory allocated. So now let me print new name here, and now cloning of list, which clearly indicates making a copy of list. So if I make a copy of list, that is, if I make a copy of list student 1 is a copy of student. So for that, student, and then do this. So now this is a copy of a student 1. So any changes if I make in a student 1 will not affect the original list, that is student, or if I make any changes in student, will not make any changes in student 1. For an example, I had made a copy of student 1 in a student. Now if I add up a, now if I just add student, then add 1 to it, sorry, in the first index I add a value 99 for that, and then if I print both student and also print student 1. If you like the video, please click on a like button, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.